This is I Will Survive, and we're going to do it in the key of A minor. And I'm just going to walk through the chord progression a couple of times, and then we'll break it down piece by piece. So it goes like this. First I was afraid, I was petrified, kept thinking I could never live without you by my side. I spent so many nights thinking how you done me wrong, but I grew strong, and I learned how to get along. But now you're back from outer space. I just came in to find you here with that sad look upon your face. I should have changed that stupid lock, should have made you leave your key. If I thought for just 1 second you'd be back to bother me, well now go. And it goes on like that. It's basically one chord progression throughout. So we're going to start with a nice friendly A minor chord. And for those of you keeping score at home, A minor starts with your index finger on the second string of the first fret, your middle finger on the fourth string of the second fret, and your ring finger on the third string of the second fret, and you play the bottom 5 strings. And then D minor, which is your index finger on the first string of the first fret, your middle finger on the third string of the second fret, and your ring finger on the second string of the third, and play the bottom 4 strings. And then you go to G. I like to do a 4-finger G. I assume you know how to play a G chord. And then a C. And now there's 2 different things you can do at this point. You can either change from C to C major 7th, which means you just lift up your index finger. Or you can do C with a B bass note, which means you play the 5th string for your bass note for the C, but then you take off your ring finger and bring your middle finger up 1 string on the same fret and strum. So it's a little like a bass line walk down. And then from there you go to F major 7th, which is not unlike C. In fact, your index finger and ring finger are both on the same strings. So your index finger stays on the second string of the first fret. Your ring finger's on the 5th string of the third, but then your middle finger's on the 3rd string of the second fret, and your pinky's on the 4th string on the 3rd fret, and you play the bottom 5 strings. That's an F major 7th. And then you go to this chord, which I looked up, and I still can't quite retain the name of this chord. I'm pretty sure it's a D minor 6/9 with an E bass, if you include all 6 strings, which is a little muddy. I like to just play the bottom 5 strings. What is that? That is your index finger on the 5th string of the 2nd fret, your middle finger on the 3rd string of the 2nd fret, your ring finger and pinky go on the 4th and 2nd strings of the 3rd fret, and you play the 1st string open. An easy way to think of this chord is if you just think of a D chord, and you move the whole thing up 2 strings on the same frets, and then just put your pinky down on the 2nd string of the 3rd fret, and you play the bottom 5 strings. D minor 6/9, sort of. I think there's another. I think it's also an F major 13th, but you can look it up and tell me in the comments what this chord is. Then 2 more chords. You're going to go to an E suspended, and then end on an E. But what is an E suspended? An E suspended is an E chord with your pinky down on the 3rd string of the 2nd fret. So you gotta kind of mush it in there with your other 2 fingers. And then you take your pinky off. Now, in terms of strumming all this, I was doing it rubato style, meaning there isn't really a set beat. You know, it's kind of an intro that you can do for the song. But once the beat kicks in, think in terms of bass notes and down strum. So for A minor, you're gonna do it 2 times. D minor twice, G twice, and then 1 C to 1 C major 7th, or 1 C to walking down to C with a B bass note, and then 2 F major 7ths, 2 D minor 6/9s, and then 2 E suspendeds, to start, but eventually you can do whatever you want. What you recommend is that you anchor yourself to your bass notes, right? I'm always starting with a bass note. Even if you don't literally hit the bass note, like what I totally missed my bass note on the D minor, you want to feel where it would go. You want to feel where that downbeat is. So anyway, that's I Will Survive.